driver's license, a driver's permit, basically what I like to be able to drive without being afraid of being stopped. And what would be your opinion on that? And I'll tell them what I asked them. Le pregunté que el primer tema que vamos a tocar es acerca de las licencias, lo que es una licencia para conducir o por lo menos un permiso, o lo que generalmente simplemente queremos llamar, quiero manejar tranquilo sin tener a alguien detrás mío. So, thank you, Jerry.
You want me to talk in the driver's permit thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, Tony, we've talked about this many times already. I don't think there's any way to do the driver's license. However, having said that, a driver's permit that would be in place for, a period of years, I think that becomes something that you probably could accomplish. But like everything else, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find one of the legislators that is willing to carry the ball for you in discussions, in work with the Department of Transportation, with finding something within the respective caucuses, that I mean the Republicans in the Assembly, the Republicans in the Senate, because they are in the majority right now.
Okay.
And so
I'll do a quick explanation of that. Entonces, lo que el senador dice es que en cuanto al asunto de licencias o permisos, realmente que lo de la licencia no va a ocurrir, en particular ahorita que tenemos un Senado y una Asamblea que es mayoritariamente republicana. Pero sí podemos hacer la lucha a través de que sea un permiso que le permita a las personas por un periodo de tiempo conducir, y que para poder desarrollar y hacer esto necesitamos conseguir un legislador que nos ayude a avanzar nuestra causa hablando de todo esto. Entonces, por ese lado estamos. Go ahead, Jenny.
Jerry, I thank you for that, and I tend to always seem to agree with you, especially with what works for Northeast Wisconsin. Do you have any legislators in mind that you think that would be a great target for us to maybe have a conversation with and start? Maybe we can get the ball rolling on writing something up on a driver's permit?
Well, I will tell you that the Secretary of Transportation and I have talked about this, and he has a number of people at the department that have some ideas about actually how to accomplish having a driver's permit. Because it should be something, requirement of insurance. It should also be requirement of picture, fingerprint, whatever, identification, and maybe even some type of background check. Now, I think it's more important also not only to find the right person, but that person needs to attempt to gather support to do this. And that would be like getting the different groups on board. I know this is kind of long for you to remember, Tony, but the groups like the potato and vegetable growers, the groups like the farming, agricultural groups, the business community, DBA, Dairy Business Association. If you can get all of those groups on board, then it's going to become easier to get something like that passed.
Entonces, la pregunta de Jennifer fue entonces si él dice que tenemos que conseguir algunos legisladores que nos ayuden, si él tiene algunos en mente, y dice que sí, y que es más, ha hablado con el secretario de Transporte acerca de este asunto, y que definitivamente es algo que puede suceder, pero lo que necesitamos hacer es no solo conseguir un legislador que lo haga, pero también tenemos que conseguirle el apoyo a través del sector de la agricultura, los de las papas, el sector de las vacas, de la industria lechera, los negocios y todo eso, y tenerlos de nuestro lado, conversar con ellos. Y estas han sido conversaciones que realmente sí han avanzado a este punto para poder llevar una legislación que realmente esté apoyada, y de esa forma entonces el Senado puede votar y hacer que esto suceda. Okay. So Jerry, then one more thing that I wanted to make a point on that. So you were emphasizing the issue about having safeguards if this does come to be, like insurance and the very basic that people know how to drive, correct?
Correct. With training, testing, insurance, like to make one more point, Tony, just to help them understand. And I don't know how you want to explain this.
Okay.
But the reality, there are a lot of great ideas that people have about getting, something changed in law. And they never happen because they're not able to sell them. So, you need not only friends to get this done, but you need to get the groups on board and things like that. Because the more people you have asking for something, automatically the easier it's going to be to ever accomplish it. And Tony, you can tell I do a lot of bills. And, it's because I've been there a long time. I not only understand the process, but you have to be able to work the process.
Correcto. Entonces, una de las cosas que el senador hace énfasis que no es simplemente pedir las cosas, sino que realmente hay que buscar el apoyo, hay que, entre más personas, entre más grupos, entre más asociaciones, coloquemos detrás de estas iniciativas, se puede hacer porque entre más personas piden, obviamente, más tienen que responder a nuestros legisladores. Y una cosa que es muy importante, y recalco porque esto lo hemos hablado con Jennifer también, realmente esto es muy basado en amistades, en personas, relaciones que uno forma con los mismos legisladores que tenemos y todo eso, para realmente que entiendan que esto es un asunto humano, que somos seres humanos y que también entendemos que ellos también lo son y cómo les damos un apoyo así. Anything else on that, Jenny?
I don't
Well,
think so.
I also was just wondering, depending if they come from Mexico or if they come from, wherever, Central America, South America, did they have a driver's license in their country where they came from?
Some would, yeah, some would, some wouldn't, but yes. There's a good...
That might make it another alternative route to get there maybe easier too.
Correct. And that would almost be in line with, there's a pact that if a person is here for a year, coming from Mexico or Canada, that their licenses are valid for a period of a year. But basically on that, it shows that the person is a person that knows the rules of the road.
Well, what it is, they used to call it the universal driver's license. And you'd have a driver's license, say, from Colombia. And you would get kind of the paperwork so that it was good whether you're driving in Wisconsin or wherever you were driving.
Entonces, él pregunta que si, por ejemplo, en nuestros países tenemos licencias o si una persona tiene licencia. Entonces, le contesté yo que unos sí, otros no, pero lo importante de eso es que al mostrar esa licencia, esa persona muestra que sabe las leyes de la vía, sabe cómo conducir. Entonces, comentamos también de en los estatutos hay una excepción, si una persona tiene licencia de su país de origen, al entrar al país, esa licencia es válida por un año. Pero simplemente muestra que una persona sabe manejar, entonces dice, eso sería un método, otro método para poder lograr lo de las licencias. I got somebody's got a question for you, Jerry, if that's okay?
Okay, just let's take one more thing. The young lady asked about who I would recommend, and it's being election year, we're going to have to see who comes through the election and who is in the right place. Certainly the way the system works, the chairman of the committee where those issues for driver's license, like transportation, who that's going to be, and how sympathetic are they to moving something like this along. So that all plays a role in this also.
Entonces algo que es realmente crucial este año es que estamos en un año de elecciones. Entonces tenemos que ver realmente quién está ahí lanzándose, quiénes van a ser los candidatos que van a quedar para empezar a formar esas alianzas. Okay. Jerry, would you have anything else to add on that subject? On the license or permits?
No, this has been talked about for a while. Like I say, I have talked to Secretary Thompson from DOT, and he has some ideas, so very possibly him and I will get together in the next couple of months and talk about these to see what road he would suggest
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Jenny, you want to go with the next subject?
Well, I guess, yeah, this is a little bit near and dear to my heart, which is 287G, only because in our communities, especially, 6 of the 8 counties that have the 287G program are up north. So I spend a lot of my days and nights translating at police stations and trying to help when families are getting detained and sent to Dodge County. So I guess what is your position not only on the 287G program, but I guess let's start there. What is your position on the 287G program?
And let me tell our crowd here real quick, very brief. Estamos hablando de la 287G que le da permiso a la policía para actuar como policía de migración.
Pero deberíamos de contestar su pregunta primero, antes que sigamos.
¿Es de las licencias?
Sí, bueno, no es pregunta, es un punto de vista. ¿Sí?
Okay.
Pero
Los
quieren,
dos son de
si
licencia
hay-
también.
Okay.
Si hay tiempo.
Sí, podemos ver su posición y ya después le...
Her first. Okay, Jerry, if you don't mind, Senator, before we move on to that question from Jennifer on 287G, one of our members here had a statement that she wanted to do regarding the licenses, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Ok, regresando al punto, y es que para nosotros, tocando lo de las licencias de nuestro país, y hablo desde mi experiencia, en nuestro país, en México, yo soy mexicana, una licencia solamente es para indicar que sabes conducir. Aquí una licencia es como una identificación. Para todo te piden la licencia de conducir. Sabemos perfectamente bien nuestra posición, sabemos perfectamente bien ciertas situaciones por ser ilegales, pero nos puede servir mucho también, tanto para conducir, porque por ejemplo vas al médico y lo primero, tu licencia. Vas a cosas básicas como pagar, por ejemplo, el internet, tu licencia. Cualquier cosa y lo primero, tu licencia. Si bien sabemos, no estamos pidiendo otras cosas, simplemente tener un modo para identificarnos y que efectivamente se den cuenta que somos ciudadanos, trabajadores, responsables y que somos ciudadanos de bien.
Okay, so Jerry, I'm going to brief it up. She brought a really good point, and that was based on your question regarding if in our countries of origin there's a driver's license, and effectively we do. But she wants to point out, Norma wants to point out that effectively in Mexico, where she comes from, she has a driver's license, but the driver's license there is merely a document that allows them to be on the road. Whereas here in the United States, a driver's license goes beyond just an allowance to the privilege of driving. It's an identifying document. Anywhere you go, they're asking you what's your driver's license. You go to the doctor, it's a driver's license. You go to open an account for everything, it's a driver's license. So as conscious as she is, the fact that she's undocumented, it still, helps to have some sort of an identification so they can show that, look, I am who I say I am working, I'm a good person, I am contributing the best I can to my community.
See, what I was getting at, Tony, is we're talking past each other a little bit. I was looking for ways to gain some ground in the right direction, to move the agenda forward. And I'm thinking that we used to have the international driver's license, so we could go ahead and use that driver's license from her home state as a means to get a driver's permit. Mm-hmm. A driver's license, yes, normal. It also is for voting. It also is for identification. We cannot try to do something for voting. If anything, it's going to have to be established that the driver's permit does not equate to an ID card for voting.
Correct.
Because you'll never get that through the legislature with hopes of getting it done. And I'm looking for ways that we could actually get something done. And so verification that a person has a driver's license probably could be used to justify giving a driver's permit without some of the other things that could go along with it, like the training and whatever. Because if you already know how to drive, the one thing we would have to do is the insurance coverage, because that is part of law.
Right. So I'm going to explain to her. Entonces él dice que ahí nos estamos cruzando un poquito, pero sí entiende lo que dice. Pero lo que él decía acerca de las licencias es que si ya existe una en nuestro país de origen, sería más fácil aquí obtener un permiso. No una licencia, porque aquí una licencia, como usted dice, acarrea otras cosas, pero por lo menos hacer ese permiso, algo que si tiene que indicar claramente, no para propósitos de voto ni nada, sino como un método de identificación. Y también que si ya la tiene, entonces no tenga que hacer el examen de ruta y todo, sino más bien asegurarse que tenga seguro o algo así. Entonces lo que dice. Thank you very much. So now we can move on to Jennifer's question regarding 287G, Senator.
Now, you're going to have to explain to me exactly what 287G is. I understand it's the local law enforcement working with immigration or whatever, but that's about all I know about it.
Yeah, Jerry, thank you. So it is just actually a program. So it is a program that can be either the local police officer or the sheriff's department that actually participates in this program. It does come along with a $50,000 price tag in order for them to be able to train certain officials in order to act as ICE agents. So in the event of somebody that was driving without a license, say it be second offense, would be a state charge, then they would have the opportunity to run their name against ICE. If their name would flag up, they would come and get them. So it's essentially a program that is racially profiling our families, saying, well, we know you can't get a license. We're going to pick you up on those not having a driver's license, and then potentially lead to deportation just because of that offense. Because we know that a state charge can then lead to deportation in any kind of immigration process. So it's kind of like creating the avenue in order to deport certain family members. So what we're asking, and the reason why we're here as well, is not only to bring awareness of what is the program, but Northeast Wisconsin, we have, out of the 8 counties, 6 of them are Northeast Wisconsin, and I'm constantly getting called, especially to Sheboygan County, to not only translate for families that their potential family members being held and detained and taken to Dodge County, but to see what we can do in order to pay bonds and get them out. And unfortunately, some instances it goes a little bit further, that families are allowed to pay the bond, so they already put out that financial hardship, and then their names are still being run and they're taken to Dodge even after they paid for a bond in a municipal bond or a state bond. So I mean, there's a lot of things that go along with it. It's not just the racial profiling part. So I mean, what our ask is to kind of abolish that program, and that was, I mean, that has been a growing program within the last 2 years. I mean, it wasn't talked about, but it is, and unfortunately, Northeast Wisconsin is kind of like the bearer of that.
Tony, there are no counties around here that are participating in that, right?
No, and I must say, and feel free to say this, that our sheriff, Scott Parks, and our chief of police, Ben Bliven, are 2 individuals that do not support that program.
Yeah.
Which 6?
So we have Brown County, Fond du Lac, Lafayette, Manitowoc, Marquette, Sheboygan, Waukesha, and Waushara.
Cool.
Yep.
There was a question from one of Senator Cole's staff.
Okay. Again, that's more of something that's determination is made by local government. We don't have it here. I talk to Sheriff Parks fairly often, but he has been supportive of some type of driver's permit with education and testing and the insurance. And I think a lot of sheriffs around the state have that same outlook. Mm-hmm. But I'll have to look into the 287 deeper.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll explain to members here. Entonces estábamos hablando del programa. El senador realmente no está muy familiarizado con el programa, afortunadamente, porque eso quiere decir que en nuestra área no lo tenemos. Y ya les dije que hablé con nuestro sheriff del condado y también con nuestro jefe de policía, y no apoyan ese proyecto para nada, ese programa. No les gusta. Ellos quieren que nuestra comunidad tenga una muy buena relación con la policía. Entonces no tenemos temor, pero en el caso tenemos que trabajar juntos. En el caso de Jennifer, lo que ella indica es que en su sector sí existe, a las personas las paran por un simple ticket de tráfico y los siguientes ya los están deportando. Entonces, a ver cómo luchamos contra eso. Thank you very much, Senator. And like I said, I'll add that our sheriff and everything, they really see that as a problem to maintain a good relationship with that community that they well know are, not on a legal status in the country, but that they will prefer to make sure that ICE does their job and they do their job as far as keeping the peace and order in our counties and communities. So
yeah, and I appreciate, Jerry. I know that I'm glad that it isn't up, anywhere in your area. But I really appreciate your advice on at least pushing towards a driver's permit, because then obviously that would take care of the problem of 287G. So I appreciate your information on that as well.
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand,
Yeah.
but like I say, I will try to find out more about the 287. It sounds like almost you're asking for legislation that would eliminate this as part of something that local government can do.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And I think that makes it very difficult to get that done, because usually we try to let local governments do their job as they see fit, and not come in like the government telling them what to do,
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll move on, and now we will talk about our third subject, which is in-state tuition. So obviously, you're very familiar. You're someone that has always talked to me about education and the needs that the state has. But the trouble we find is even DACA students. We have a DACA young lady right here too. They are, they're meeting all their requirements, and however, when they're going to school, they're having to pay out-of-state tuition fees. So we would just like to know your thoughts on that and what we can do to make sure, number one, that DACA students are able to, and then those that are perhaps, undocumented in our area, if they want to pursue a little bit more of education, how they could avail themselves of in-state tuition if they can show that they reside in the county and state where they're going to go to school.
Yeah, we've talked about this. In statute, it's listed, who can have in-state tuition, whether it's immigrant or if it's somebody that here, if the mother or father is a citizen, it opens the door. But it would take a statute change, and of course, there'd be a reduction of money for the university. But that would have to come down to changing the statutes, and that's not an easy lift either. But I can understand why it is so important. I have 4 children. They all went to school. They all have a diploma from one of the universities or colleges. Most of them came through the UW system. And it's, like they say, it is the great equalizer. Because no matter what your background is or how much money your parents have, the education enables you to go past any roadblocks or anything that gets in the way from success in your life. And so this is an important one. If I was going to look at doing this, I probably would talk to the UW, and we'd have to come up with what the cost would be. Tony, you want to translate for that?
Absolutely, yes. Entonces la pregunta que hicimos fue en cuanto a los precios que una persona paga por ir a la universidad. Si uno va a una universidad local y vive en esa localidad o en el estado, las cuotas son mucho más económicas que una persona que viva, por ejemplo, en California y viene a estudiar acá, se le cobra más. Lo mismo que una persona de Wisconsin, si va a California, se le cobra más allá. Entonces, si vives en el estado, te cobran menos. El problema que tenemos es que tenemos personas que están con el programa de DACA, que residen y se saben que residen en ese estado y no se les está extendiendo esa oferta de que paguen la cuota que se está pagando ahí. Y también obviamente tenemos a nuestros ciudadanos que son indocumentados, que trabajan, que están en ese condado, quieren obtener educación y se les cobra mucho más. Entonces el senador dice que el problema que tenemos con eso es el vocabulario que existe en el estatuto, en las leyes. Entonces que eso sería lo que tendríamos que aclarar para poder lograr que las personas que viven y residen en un sitio obtengan los precios del sitio donde viven. No es algo muy fácil de hacer, sin embargo, él quiere avanzar algo así en esto y va a hablar con la Universidad de Wisconsin y para ver cuánto costaría, qué se podría hacer para poder avanzar esta causa. Entonces, vamos a tratar ahí. Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, I got that part, and I don't know if you wanted to add something else.
Well, I think there's something that we've talked about it, Tony. Every business that's out there, whether it be agriculture, whether it be manufacturing, whether it would be, the trades, anything, anybody and everybody are looking for more labor. And the population, the birth rate is down. It's been down for a long time. These problems with the shortage of bodies, labor, isn't going away. And it's only going to get worse because there are more and more people that are retiring, more and more people that are leaving employment because of age or whatever. And so the problem isn't going to go away. It's only going to get worse. The problem is going to get bigger. And so this might be helpful in trying to get some of these things done. I don't care what sector it is. Right now, I've been looking at the healthcare industry because we don't have enough people working at the nursing homes, at the hospitals, nurses aides, certified nurses aides. There's a shortage on all of those. On top of that, for at least most of these people, to get them into those professions or into those jobs is going to take an education and training. And so everything that you've talked about today really goes hand in hand with, they're kind of entwined all together. And so, the goal, I think, for your group is to find a way to make progress towards making it better, getting some of these things done. We used to have a governor, and his name was Tommy Thompson. And he was always with the mindset that we were going to make progress towards a goal. And it might be small steps, but we're going to keep making those steps until we get there. Now, I think that's how you have to look at this. But it's going to take people that are willing to find the right answer. You can call it a compromise, you can call it whatever you want, but you need to make progress. There has to be hope in, everything we do. And so, that's going to be the challenge, to find the right people, to find the people that can guide this along, that can bring in those groups, whether it's agricultural groups or whether it's the nursing home industry or the healthcare industry. If we can get everybody on board to be focused on making progress, then I think the job becomes doable. So I appreciate the conversation. I really would like it if we were in person, but for today, this is the best we can do.
Yes, thank you. I'll let him know a little bit brief what you said. Dice él precisamente, este es un momento en que tenemos escasez de trabajadores en nuestro estado. en que necesitamos más personas en áreas inclusive más especializadas como en el sector de salud, gente que cuida a otras personas y todo, y no tenemos a las personas. Entonces, para poder tener esas personas, se van a necesitar que personas se eduquen y van a la universidad y estudien. Entonces, esto obviamente es un tema que es muy relevante, que tenemos que atender y que tenemos que trabajar juntos y les estoy diciendo en breve, para que lo podamos avanzar. So I got it there, Jerry. Y que tenemos un gobernador anteriormente, el gobernador Tommy Thompson, que decía que el Estado tenía que hacer progreso, y así sea un progreso que lo hagamos de a poquitos, pero hay que hacerlo y tenemos que estar todos juntos. Okay? So, Jenny, you got anything else?
I don't know.
Alguien, anybody want to have a question? Olga?
¿Querías decir algo, no? ¿Querías?
Okay.
No, nunca terminó. ¿Van a decir que me regrese otra vez?
¿No las licencias?
Sí.
No, eso sí.
Sí, si quieres después.
Ya nos vemos con el persona. Olga, you got something?
Well, I appreciate your time, and thank you for explaining this to us. And we're gonna work together with Jennifer. I hope that she can join us, and Tony to looking into finding the right people that we need to, join our group so we can lead to process and get things done. And I know it's baby steps, but it's the beginning here.
¿Alguien tiene una pregunta? ¿Comentario?
Well, it's just building, a base of support
Yes.
and having a route that you can sell. We talk about this a lot. If I can sell it, I should be able to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't sell it, there's no way in hell it can get done.
That's right. Yes, true.
I just want to say thank you, Jerry, again for your time. And I missed seeing you in person, but I know we'll make up for it and grab pizza or something later. But I really do appreciate your time, and it is about having that conversation and knowing that, like you said, even if it's small compromises, there is a way to get it to work. So it's about building those relationships and making sure that our networking goes a little bit further to get it done. So I appreciate your time, Jerry.
Well, thank you. I think it's probably getting people to understand the issue, and even the local government.
Right.
They don't put themselves in your place. We have people in Marion County who have been here for 20 years, and now they're married to the neighbor girl, and they have 4 children. You have people that are here just trying to better themselves and make a living, and there certainly is a need for the help, and yet they drive to the grocery store and they get picked up because they don't have a driver's license, and they didn't do anything wrong other than not have a driver's license.
Right.
Yes. So, Senator.
And so,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Tony.
No,
If
Senator.
there's not,
Go ahead. You go first.
if there's nothing else that they want to ask, and they can ask questions about whatever they want, it doesn't matter,
Anybody got any questions?
I just want to say thank you. It's an honor to be here. This is very eye-opening, and I was born here and I didn't even realize a lot of the issues going on until I married somebody from Ecuador. He's an immigrant. We've been through the process, and it's like, I think you're totally right. A lot of us don't know because we don't put ourselves in their shoes, and it's actually, it's really eye-opening and sometimes devastating, when you hear their stories and the struggles they've been through, and I think what we're doing here is really important, and I'm just proud to be here, and I'm really proud of my team. So thank you for having us.
Well, I like your analogy. I'm writing a letter to my grandchildren. It's all the wisdom I've learned. It's things my dad told me. And there's a quote in there from him. He said, "You'll never understand what somebody goes through in life unless you walked in their shoes." Mm-hmm. And that was as true 50 years ago as it is today. Right. So we just have to try to explain to people the reality of what's happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Well, Senator.
Was that Olga?
No, this was Micaela. You will get to meet Micaela very soon because Micaela is gonna be working. Well, and Olga too. You already met Olga via a Zoom.
We're a package deal.
So Micaela is right there in Wasa with me, and she's gonna be working together with me in AHA.
Well, how come you never invite her along, Tony, when we go out
That's
for
what I'm
lunch?
saying.
That's because when I call her, she doesn't answer her phone.
He's calling at the wrong
He's
time.
throwing me under the bus.
He calls me when I'm making dinner.
Well, Senator,
It's
I
fine.
want to say thank you very much, and I know that I speak for a group right here, and Jenny too, with her group, that we are, without question, lined up to work with you, to find a way that we can make a difference and make things happen. And you know, I just like to know from you that, you know, we have your, and I know this, I just want that we have your support, as long as we are finding the way how to get through these things and make our community, our counties, and our state better.
Well, I think there's a route, Tony, that, you know, will pay dividends for you. It's going to come down to all the things we talked about. It's going to be, how do you sell this? How do you frame the argument? How do you draft something that is acceptable? How do you get the votes for it? How do these business groups, how can we get them on board with, you know, having a labor supply that they can utilize? Because there are businesses that are looking and they say, well, you know, we don't have any labor force. We can't get people. There are people in a lot of the small communities across the North Woods that there are companies there that want to expand, but they can't expand because they don't have any labor force. And sometimes they maybe could get a labor force, but then they don't have low-income housing. So, you know, there's so many things that are combined one after another. But Tony, I look forward to having this, you know, parts of this conversation again. And we will talk, because certainly I see the Secretary of Transportation fairly often. And Tommy Thompson and I are friends, so we talk fairly often. And I'm going to ask him also for his thoughts on this, because with Tommy, I think it's an opportunity. He certainly has a background and a lot of knowledge in these issues, and with almost everything else too. So anyway, Tony, you have a great day. I wish you well and all of the people with you. How many people did you have come today?
We have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
No.
No, altogether, we're
Oh,
15.
in this room?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
15.
or so.
15,
Okay.
Senator, yes.
All right, well, when you coming home today?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll talk soon, Tony.
Thank you, Jerry. Have a great day. Thank you for your time.
You take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye.